We build what we believe. At Designing Justice, Designing Spaces, we are abolitionists. And so our vision is to see a world without prisons and jails, without youth detention. A world where restorative justice is the primary way of addressing harm in our communities, where restorative economics is embedded into our communities of color most impacted by mass incarceration. And we know it's a long vision, but we know that it's possible. Designing Justice, Designing Spaces started to tackle the issue of closing and emptying of criminal justice infrastructure around the country. And one of our first projects was the Atlanta City Detention Center.
What a wonderful project. The Atlanta City Detention Center, reimagined as a center of equity. Grateful to work with our community partners, Racial Justice Action Center, and Women on the Rise, who are women that were formerly incarcerated.
We have a really special process called the concept development process. And this is a process that engages all the stakeholders in a project in both imagining what might happen there, what it would look like, but also in how the financing will happen, right? It's a co-learning process. In Oakland, we created the country's first Center for Restorative Justice and Restorative Economics called Restore Oakland. Really one of the first projects where we were able to integrate both our real estate development expertise and design expertise because we were able to help our client find a building, and we were able to negotiate that deal and did full architectural services for the project, from the full design down to the furniture selection. Restore Oakland ignited the idea of a project in Detroit called the Love Building. This is with Allied Media Projects and a whole constellation of nonprofits. We made the decision really to expand that project and take leadership over creating something called the Love Campus.
Our Love Campus in Detroit, we're excited to have a couple of designers on deck, local community members who are also doing this justice work.
For the first time, we were seeing a group of people who were really interested in what the formerly incarcerated wanted to see in a space that was primarily being designed, not totally, but primarily being designed for them.
For the community, that would mean an opportunity to actually own new investments coming into their neighborhood.
That's what I think is needed here in Detroit, more ownership. People need to feel like they're a part of something.
The list is endless of the kind of infrastructure that we need to build, and we've identified 8 primary categories. I want to see DJDS develop a new prototype in every single one of those categories so that we can begin to amplify and expand that work to other people around the country, and they can make them too.
The need to be able to provide prototypes to demonstrate sort of market rate or market-based value for other investors is just a really smart next step and essential to making sure that we don't engage communities in imagining a future that doesn't ever get built.
To me, there is no other response to the work of designing justice and designing spaces other than how do we help? How do we scale this up? How do we make sure that this is not something that is in just a select few cities? How do we make sure that this is the new norm?